everybody. Welcome to Roundtable Live. It is November 3rd, 2017. My name's Bear, joined by Rock Lee Smile, Northern Lion, and look over there. That's not Mathis at all. Did we finally get rid of him? Did we raise the money? Did we do it? Hold on.
We did it.
We did it. It's Last Grey Wolf.
Hello.
Welcome. Thank you for rejoining us, honorary member of the Roundtable.
Wait, we're gonna get $50,000?
Yeah, dude, it's great, isn't it?
No. I am. You guys know.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I forgot the clause is that, if we raise the money, we have to give it to the person that replaces Mathis. So, okay, yeah.
Honestly, if we were going to split it 4 ways anyway, we might as well just give it all to Austin.
That's probably true. He's been carrying the show for a little while now, and I think, you know what, you deserve 50 grand for it. So congratulations, buddy.
Yeah, I think you introduced yourself wrong, by the way.
Did I?
Yeah, I think it's BaerTaffy Supreme.
Oh, that's true. You know what? I gotta stick with my persona.
Do you want Taco Bell again? Yep.
We're all rappers now. That's canon. Mm-hmm. I think Nick might actually be the best among us. It's the gauntlet has been thrown. I'm pretty impressed.
I disagree based on the last thing I heard of yours. I think that you've got me beat still.
We've all thrown down some tracks, all of us in this call here, and we're kind of a little divided too. Mostly the dude in that corner, actually. It's mostly him that's by himself. So
I don't know where he is relative to.
Yeah,
he's right above you, Austin.
He actually just pointed at my Gmail tab, so I don't know who you're talking about.
Whoever that is.
I think everyone has dropped a track except Malf.
Yeah, and he's got the hype now. Even Josh, just barely, before we started going live. And he killed it.
Yeah.
I almost want to play it live, but I think he's going to content ID match us. So
I hope so.
Yeah, he should.
It's really good, and the production value is delicious.
Y'all think we're kidding, but there's been some fire up in here. People are dropping.
In 3/4 of the area, there's been some fire.
It's a controlled burn. Well, outside of the diss track meta, which has been my favorite meta for quite some time, it's time for Roundtable. We're going to talk about some gaming stuff. There's a little bit of news this week. Some sad, some a little more exciting. We'll run through the docket here to let you know what's going on. New Hearthstone expansion just announced. That's where Mathis is, if you were wondering. He's attending BlizzCon along with our buddy Sinvicta. They're over there checking out things live, and we've got the news coming through the pipeline, the new Hearthstone expansion, along with a new game mode, which is kind of exciting. A little bit of sad news. Runic Games, developers behind the Torchlight series and the newly released Hob, have been shut down by their publishers, so we'll talk a little bit about that, along with another one shut down by the same publisher, developers of gigantic Motiga. The Xbox One X has been released. We'll discuss the reception along with our interpretation of its necessity. Spelunky 2, same condition, which is a lot more exciting, though, in my world at least, and I'm very curious to hear the thoughts of the round table on it. Zombie Army Trilogy, a game that came out a couple of years ago. Nick and I checked it out on Squares this week, so we'll talk to you about our impressions of that, along with Spelunker Party. Not to be confused with Spelunky 2, although it's very easy, I'm sure. Assassin's Creed Origins will come up after that, and then everybody's waiting for this one. We got Austin on to tell us all about it. It's Super Mario Odyssey, which it's been getting some, perfect scores just across the board, so I gotta know more. I can't stop. God damn it! All the rhymes, they're all just
we're
constantly
infected
burning in my
now.
head.
We're soon to be clickers of some sort of hip hop variety. Just standing around in abandoned buildings, just rattling off rhymes until somebody hits us in the head with a brick.
I volunteer.
I know. Drop some lyrical bricks, yo. We'll see.
Gross.
Yeah, I don't know what that means. We're also going to talk our October game of the month right after the Mario Odyssey conversation, which may not surprise a lot of people. But let's start off the show here. Stuff that wasn't even on the docket to begin with. It's so damn fresh. Kobolds and Catacombs is Hearthstone's next add-on. Austin, do you know some deets about this that you could drop on us?
In terms of the expansion itself, they just revealed a few of the cards, only I think 6 or something. But the big news about it, it's going to have a different game mode in it, which is new for Hearthstone.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't really had anything like that since it came out, but it's going to be like a dungeon crawling mode where you get a small deck of 10 cards to start, which a normal Hearthstone deck has 30, and then as you go in and defeat bosses, you get to add to your deck every time you win. But if you lose, you die. You start all over at the beginning. And it sounds like an interesting new way to play Hearthstone. And the cool thing about it is that it's free, which is just great news because Hearthstone is just extraordinarily expensive. So having a new mode for people who don't have thousands of dollars to burn on packs, or hours upon hours to farm gold to get packs, you can play it right from the get-go, which is nice.
So we haven't really been the Hearthstone's kind of escaped our regular rotation, I think, amidst the group of us. But I'm still curious how you guys felt back when we were playing it pretty regularly. Like the argument right now seems to be that Hearthstone just is impossible to keep up with monetarily. Like there's so many cards that you need from the latest expansions within the current meta. That you have to spend a ton of money to be able to even compete if you're looking to rank up or even have a chance at all.
If you're looking to play ladder, then you need to either spend a lot of time farming gold or just drop I think the average is like $250 per expansion in order to get all the cards if you want it.
Jesus Christ, that's a lot more than I thought it would be. Yeah,
it's a lot. It's ridiculous.
So this is good then, for them to address that pretty directly with something that isn't just it's not like a handout, it's an actual means of addressing the issue for people in a more permanent fashion. So, kudos there, I suppose.
The other thing is that, like, Hearthstone doesn't have any kind of way to redistribute the cards. So, like, Magic is crazy expensive, of course. If you want to get every card in a set by buying booster packs, it would cost you probably thousands of dollars. However, like, you also would never do that because as soon as you got any duplicates, you would start trading or reselling them, or you could buy whatever card you want for like under 20 or 30 bucks usually, at least for like standard play.
Yeah.
So, Hearthstone, it kind of, in a way, I think they've kind of exacerbated their problem by not having a secondary market, even though I think that also would have caused a lot of people to complain to begin with. But
that'd be a really interesting just concept to consider, like trying to launch something like that at this point. I'm sure Blizzard could, of all people, to introduce something as large as a secondary Hearthstone card market. But
like the real money auction house for Diablo 3 had such a ridiculous backlash that I think I don't know if they would have done it to begin with, because Hearthstone is kind of weird, I guess, in that sense. It's one of the apps where, like, when you download it on your phone, after it has an update, you have to re-download the entire app every time.
Oh, you do? I didn't even know that.
Maybe it's not the kind of project where they want to add in a real money auction house for technical reasons, maybe. But I think that having the ability to actually do that would ease concerns a little bit if they handled it properly. But that's kind of why I watched out of Hearthstone. Is you can't just buy a deck and then play the deck forever. You have to buy like at least probably $100 worth of packs to even have a chance to construct anything.
That's an interesting point about the transferable value too, just because that might be one of the big reasons why people stay with MTGO for so long, because they do have actual value, that you can attribute to monetary gain or, like being able to turn it into something else useful. Whereas, like you said, Hearthstone really doesn't have anything like that at all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and MTGO also sucks and is way more expensive than Hearthstone. Like, but they're making that new Magic Arena or whatever it's called. So if they make that work, then that'll be better. I would absolutely get back into online Magic if drafts weren't $15. But anyway, I digress.
How excited are you for the new Magic, Nick?
I'm like a 2, but if they make drafts not $15, I would probably play on occasion.
Mm-hmm. Nick, what about you?
I'm kind of out on all the CCGs now.
Yeah.
I used to be pretty in on like whatever the new yearly Magic game was, and then they kind of just dumped us all with duels, and that's kind of the end of it for me. I didn't really
your
care.
Heart a little, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, we had a series going for ages, and then the game just stopped working for Rob, so we just couldn't play it anymore, and it's just such a pain in the ass. So
yeah.
There's just too many other things to do to care this much about something that is not only time-consuming but makes people angry at you for playing it, and then also is very expensive. So easier to just kind of let it go and let people have their fun. I'll just be over here.
We got the
Magic Duels sucked forever. Is the other thing. Like I know it's not about that. Like this is about Hearthstone, but it sucked forever. Like the tutorial froze for almost everybody that I talked to. Like Rob couldn't get past the tutorial.
Yeah, I couldn't matter.
It broke for me, but I made it past somehow by just like redoing it enough times. Eventually, one of the times it took the right path that actually allowed you to finish it. And then they changed the rules for reasons that don't even make sense to me. Like they made it so you could only have 1 of each mythic in your deck instead of 4 of each mythic. And you're like, why are you People want to play Magic. They don't want to play
Yeah.
like your weird hybrid Magic that
Yeah.
doesn't even make any sense. So
It bummed me out. They wanted to kind of just turn it into whatever is their newest thing. It's just a promotional engine for that. And I wanted it to be an engine for just, here's Magic. You can play Magic with your friends. And for me, my favorite edition of Magic was the older stuff, like the 4th edition stuff. And none of that is at all represented. I mean, obviously, the game has evolved past that now. But that was what I had fond memories of. And I kind of wish we could just see like a fantasy version of it where you could put a 4th edition deck against the newest shit and just see how badly you die to that. Just as a sort of a fun experiment, but they just have no interest in letting you just have fun. They just want you to buy stuff, and fair enough.
Yeah.
So I'm out.
All right. Well, it's Kobolds and Catacombs. This was a Hearthstone story to start off with, I promise.
Yeah.
Kobolds and Catacombs, the new expansion, is set to release, I think, in December. That's when they said. So there you go. Sad story coming from my home turf, Seattle. Runic Games, behind Torchlight 2, and newly released Hob, have been closed down. Let me just read a selection from the post on runicgames.com here. It says, hey everyone, it's been over 9 years since a ragtag team of 17 developers helped open Runic Games. Been so lucky with the community, they've supported us and made us successful. Sorry to say that today will be Runic's last day open. Focus is here on family. They ask folks to email them if they're looking for new employees. For those that love the Torchlight series, there will be some news coming, and for all our fans, our community and multiplayer services will keep running even after the studio's lights go off. So good news for those of you wondering about that as well. It says, do I family here at Runic? I know we won't be far from each other. I miss seeing you all every week. You haven't heard The Last of Us. Ooh, Marsh Leffler, studio head. Runic has been closed down by publisher Perfect World, a Chinese-based video game company that specializes in MMORPGs.
How ironic. In a perfect world, a great studio gets closed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. A little stretch.
I know, but I'm really sad about all this. Like, Runic is one of my favorite studios, and I've loved everything they've made. Not that there's a lot of things they've made, but
yeah, no, it's
Torchlight, really good.
It's
and
like
Hob is good.
It's shocking to me. This is a developer that hasn't really had a flop, like, and it leads me to believe that the industry at this point is pretty cutthroat. Like, if you're not booming, you're failing, it seems, or at least this is giving me that indication. Because Hob,
they're very talented
how well did
people.
Hob do? I guess that's the ultimate
Obviously
question.
not that well.
Yeah.
I mean, the critical reception seemed okay, but it didn't seem like it was doing amazingly. I don't have any real data.
I'm trying to pull it up here.
I haven't heard anybody saying it was awful, so that's usually a start anyway.
There we go. Let's see. We've got 46,000 owners on Steam, so that's probably not really along the lines of what they were looking for.
No.
For a studio of 17 people, I can't imagine that carries you very far, especially when your dev time for that was years.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, man, the hot take for a few weeks, prior to this, was the single-player experience is dying. Right, like everyone's going games for services now, and you can't possibly work on a game like this for this long and make enough in return to justify the time spent. And it's kind of difficult to not agree with that, seeing a case like this. Like, this seems like it's that argument personified, doesn't it?
Well, I think it sucks for Runic because they might have been screwed either way. And I mean, if there's actual Steam developers in chat, feel free to correct me here. But it feels like the environment now is if you don't get a smash hit, you're going to make a decent chunk of your overall lifetime earnings for a game at launch. And then you're going to recoup the remaining 50% over the course of several years of Steam sales and
Humble bundles, shit like
exactly,
that.
yeah. So I'm assuming that a game like Hob that's single player, critically acclaimed, maybe people thought $20 is a little expensive for a single player only indie experience, but when it's on sale for years, they could start to recoup more of that investment. But if you just kind of chop off the head before they have a chance to recoup that, then it's kind of impossible, I guess. So
Yeah.
They may have seen the window closing around them before the game was even ready to launch. It may have been, we need to make 500,000 to break even, and they made 100,000. And it's okay, well, there's no chance we're going to recoup that in any reasonable amount of time.
Right.
I think it's hard to convince people, just like the timbre that I get from Twitch chat and like YouTube comments, is that something that's single player only and it's kind of like a one and done experience has to be an 11 out of 10 to motivate people to buy it right now. It's like Mario, it sounds like is really up there, and Zelda was up there, and Hollow Knight was up there. But for stuff that's kind of like an 8 out of 10 and is $20, people are like, I'll just wait for a sale, or I'll even watch somebody play it on YouTube instead. But it just seems like it's hard to motivate.
I'll go play PUBG or League or Dota.
Exactly. They have like a $30 game they can play for like 1,200 hours or something like that. So
or a free one.
Also true, yeah.
It seems like it not only needs to be an 11 out of 10, but it also needs to get kind of lucky with both PR and exposure across a wider bandwidth, like with YouTubers and streamers, like to really make that level of saturation happen, that you can recoup that kind of level of cost. It almost feels like you've got to be literally just creative from the beginning with your budgeting to even have a chance to break even.
Yeah. That's the other thing. Like, I mean, obviously we don't have inside information of how like the studio is run, but it seems like the amount of talent and work it takes to make a product that seems like it's worth $20 is too expensive to ever allow you to have a realistic chance to recoup the budget, I guess. Except when I think about the exceptions to the rule, I think about like, okay, FTL. You could play it forever. It was made by 2 dudes. I mean, the Kickstarter was like $15,000 or something like that. So also came out in a different era. But if you're making something that's like handcrafted, really like visually beautiful, maybe shorter and a more curated experience, it takes a lot of like expertise to do that, a lot of development time. And then how many copies at $20 do you have to sell in order to make that feasible long term?
Yeah.
Maybe too many, but
I wonder if there's like a disparity gap between the $60 value where people try to extrapolate, like, okay, if I were to take 1/4 of that level of depth or 1/3 level of that depth and then put it into a $20 game, like, will that hold up? Is that where they go with the thinking when they're trying to come up with the value proposition of what they want to buy? And I don't think that's a fair thing to do, obviously, but just across the board, like, how do people make that discernment between a AAA budgeted game versus an indie game with a smaller budget that's trying to hold up as best they can against that?
Yeah.
I think you just have a lot of people who have their game right now. Like, it doesn't have to be a multiplayer game, but like even like Isaac, FTL, Factorio, RimWorld, games like that. People have their one game that they always go back to. And if your game isn't better than that game, they might just end up, they already have that game. They're going to keep playing it.
Well, better so suggestive or subjective rather. It depends what people are into, and sometimes a trend will actually make something more applicable to a scenario than usual, right? Like there are certain trends of types of games that pop up, and then people go really in deep on those. I think that kind of helps sway there being at least a couple of derivations, like a little bit of latitude for what people are up for.
Yeah, man, like the more we talk about it, the more I begin to empathize with these giant publishers trying to go the way of games as services and turning all this like microtransaction profit, because it's so much easier, clearly, to go that route as opposed to continuing to try to bank on this model that people are now arguing is basically obsolete, of like this $60 title that can recoup its loss within a reasonable amount of time. It doesn't seem like it's really realistic anymore.
It's like I always think about like Abzu, where the amount of work required, not just like on the development of that project, but like the hours that went into conceiving of what the concept is going to be and making it look as good as it did, the like original composition of the score and stuff like that.
Literal orchestra.
Right. Exactly. It's a $15 game that's about 80 minutes long. Like it's a work of art, admittedly a work of art, but does that, economically stand a chance in the Steam climate, which, like you said, I think is super cutthroat. So on the one end, I think you have games as an experience like Abzu, or like Tacoma or something like that. And then on the other side, you have the 100% maybe perceived as exploitative games as a service model, and I can understand why both of them are relevant. I mean, can you imagine how much money it costs to employ DICE for like 3 years of developing a Star Wars game?
Yeah.
I can't even imagine. Like the game has to be better than good. It almost has to milk people a little bit.
I would rather that we could shift expectations toward just paying more for experiences like Abzu to encourage that kind of creativity to flourish, rather than take advantage of psychology and let the budgets just keep ballooning bigger and bigger and bigger, because it'll push these people out of the possibility of even being able to exist.
Like, Abzu is such a unique circumstance, too, because it had such huge backing from a big publisher. It had a big name attached to it. Matt Nava, I think is his name, the creative director behind Flow and Flower. Like, people know who that is. People know those games, and they've gotten critical reception already. So there's so many, like, circumstances at play to even allow Abzu to exist, much less, like, sell well enough to deserve the continued creation of things like that. So... And, like, Abzu actually did well, too. I'm looking at the stats right now. It has 640,000 owners on Steam. So, like, they, I think, are kind of an anomaly in that respect,
that's
too.
Actually much more than I expected.
Yeah. So it's just, there's so many factors at play there to make me feel that this is not as much of a surprise as maybe it should be that Runic has shut down, just because, like, even though they had big publisher backing, too. I mean, Perfect World is a big company, but at the same time, they're not going to just, keep dragging them along if they don't seem profitable. So, yeah.
Largely, like, what I'm about to say is driven from a position of ignorance and not being in the industry. But it feels like on the AAA side, let me go back up a step. Yeah. I feel like it's hard to be like a mid-sized AA developer, because you're not...
Give me like a barometer for that.
Well, like Runic, I think, is a good example. Anything that maybe has, like, even maybe Double Fine I'd include in there. Something that has, like, maybe a dozen or a few dozen employees.
Yeah.
You're not really making things that are typically AAA experiences. So, people are not going into it thinking they're going to get 1,000 hours out of it or 200 hours out of it, especially something like Hob. And then you also don't have the benefit of being as agile as, like, a two-person team or a three-person team, where you can, I think on Steam you can afford to not sell 50,000 copies as long as you have two employees working at the studio. Now, mind you, a lot of what you're probably going to make with two people is going to be a shot in the dark, and not nearly as polished. But I mean, if it just seems you're more resilient, I guess you can withstand like a hit not hitting, or a game not hitting, I should say.
Like, there's an alternate dimension where Abzu was made without massive publisher backing, and it ends up being, like 25% of the experience with no London Symphony Orchestra and no like beautiful sprawling underwater landscapes. But yeah,
there's something vaguely dystopian about that concept, just in general. That something could have so much thought and work and effort put into it, and it's just basically like a scrap of paper on the side of the road.
Yeah,
it creeps me out a little bit.
But it's also like, I don't know, I kind of resent the idea that if you like the games, you should vote with your wallet to kind of keep the business model alive. Because some of these games, I'm like, maybe it shouldn't be $20. Maybe it's a pricing issue. I mean, it's the more complicated issue, I guess. Because if you released Abzu for $5, people would look at it and be like, what's wrong with it? Like, something's not right with it. But at the same time, like, I don't know. I kind of resent the notion that I saw people in chat. They're like, I should have bought Hob. Well, I mean, if they didn't suck you in, you didn't kill the company. The company is it's dead for many reasons. Maybe they threw too many catered lunches. Probably not. But at the same time, like, the responsibility, I don't think is on the consumer's behalf.
No,
if you pirated it and you would have bought it, then maybe feel a little guilty. But if you just like didn't buy it, then...
No, it's on them to convince you to want to buy it. That's totally fine. And it's just hard to appeal to that massive a number of people to be able to float a project like that, I guess.
Kind of a sister story to this that we can touch on a bit as well. Same publisher, Perfect World, shuts down gigantic developer Motiga. Gigantic was a game that got a lot of coverage due to sponsorships for big YouTubers and Twitch streamers, and apparently that wasn't enough, as Gigantic was not... They just straight up said it here in the announcement. It says, in short, Gigantic was not making enough revenue. Unfortunately, Motiga is not the only Perfect World studio being impacted by the decision. That's making a nod to their Runic Games friends as well. So, yeah, this game's just not working out for folks, and that probably is not as much of a big surprise, I'd say, for Gigantic. But that is a relatively new property at the same time, so they didn't really give it a lot of time to work out.
It's a good game that looks really, really generic.
Yeah.
And I mean, I also harken back to what Austin said. I mean, we did a sponsored thing for it, for one. So, I mean, we're free off the company teat now, obviously, because they don't exist anymore. But, you know, where Austin said, like, people just kind of have the one game that they play. And I don't know if Gigantic necessarily motivated people to stop playing Smite or Overwatch or Paladins or whatever. So
you can't make a MOBA right now. You just can't. And that's not like an exaggeration. You're not going to beat Dota. You're not going to beat League. And even Heroes of the Storm and Smite are still around, and they have like pretty large groups still playing them.
They've been building for like 5 or 6 years now, each of those games respectively too. So they're not only like already established, they're improving upon themselves constantly.
Yeah.
I felt like we also had an uphill battle with Gigantic where we were like, it's good. It's at least pretty good. And whenever people came into the chat, they're like, wow, no wonder this is sponsored. Something about it just looked like it wasn't engaging to watch. It didn't look like people wanted to play it, I guess.
It didn't look like a MOBA, and it didn't look like a multiplayer battle game. It just looked... I don't even know how to describe it. It just didn't look interesting.
Like... When you look at the art for it, it looks like an Ori-style game, I would say. Like, it looks like it's some sort of Metroidvania, but then you get into, like, gameplay videos, and you're like, oh, no, that's not at all what this is. And now I still have no idea what it is upon watching it.
The name, it just, like, didn't stand out in any way to me. I was like, are there mechs in this? I feel like there should be mechs. It's called Gigantic.
Pretty good's not going to cut it, too.
Battleborn.
Yeah.
Like I said, pretty good is not enough in this market.
The other thing is that, like, I think... like you're right, you just can't make a MOBA right now, and you like why step to Blizzard? I mean, in this case, the answer is that they've been working on it for like 7 years or something like that. But yeah, like you got at that point, you just got to release it. But it's kind of a cautionary tale for anybody else, I think. I also heard that like for people that because there is a Gigantic community, I don't know what happens to them, but. I saw people complaining about matchmaking a lot recently. Like there's a fan of the show, Larson, who has been around forever, and he played a ton of Gigantic for like the past 3 years, and even he was doing like twit longers that were like the state of the union for Gigantic because the matchmaking is just busted, and probably because the community is small enough that you know you could be garbage and matched against ESL pros or whatever. But,
they always assume that there's going to be this huge pool of players to draw from. I guess you have to make that assumption, but it rarely seems to work out. I mean, if your model is to go after the runoff of bigger games, you know, I feel like you're really limiting yourself already there.
And when you do that too, like you're trying to catch the folks that are being turned away by that big crowd, and you have to like not only latch them on, but also keep them from wanting to go back, because I think that is more likely than anything else. Is like, I'll try this new thing and see if I like it more than what's popular right now, and if it's not better or at least you know good enough to keep their attention for long enough, they'll go back because like they know that that's the standard. Plus, that's what everybody else is playing. So. You know, you got to.
There's like so many examples of this recently too. Like I was just thinking the other day about Lawbreakers,
right?
And like Cliffy B did an interview maybe like 2 weeks ago where he acknowledged like the problems with releasing Lawbreakers and talked about like what are they going to do with it in the future. I'm like, you're done. Mm-hmm. Like I'm sorry, you might be the exception to the rule, but like it came out and it has like 20 concurrent players. People like it, but they're not excited to play it or buy it. So I mean, unless there's like a free-to-play patch, I guess that maybe could get people sucked in. Like it kind of feels like you're in the toilet bowl. You're in like the Battleborn spiral of like, okay, now you can get like 2 characters for free, and now the rest are DLC, and then the whole thing is free. And you know we have weekly rotations, and then you're just like it's closed. So
yeah, it's kind of
20
weird.
players.
Yeah, that's just
that's brutal.
That's just gotta
no one's
stop
gonna play that game when you hear that sentence. It's not gonna happen.
You don't want to be the 41st dude on Lawbreakers. You're essentially like working for it's a pyramid scheme then. When you're like the Cutco developer.
When this show represents 20% of your player base as like a quantitative figure, that doesn't bode well for you.
I had a weird situation where I had gotten an email from their PR, and they got some codes for Lawbreakers, and I was kind of thinking about trying it out. But then I kind of felt out the heat of the room, and I was like, you even if I end up liking this, where am I going to go with that? But I'm going to be like, hey, Ryan, you want to play Lawbreakers? And he's going to say no. And then
I would do Lawbreakers for one segment, probably. It seems good, you know? Like, it's the same
that
thing
was
with
already months ago, though, so I think it's already over.
It's like the same thing with Quake Champions, where, like, I don't know if they're struggling for players, but I was like, Quake Champions is good.
Isn't it not out yet?
It's not out yet, but, like, the Humble Bundle gave access to a bunch of people, I think, the last one that they did.
Oh,
but,
I should have that then.
Like, it's good, but I don't know if I can see it. The overarching point is I really think that Fortnite and PUBG are just sucking players up right now. Like, it's everybody is getting siphoned into, like, one or two camps or the third camp of just abstaining. It's like the Overwatch, I guess, is another one. But, like, there's just not enough players to go around anymore. Like
CSGO still, that's still a game that has lots of players. Like, you're going to go up against these huge titans with like a measly slingshot, and it's not going to go down like in the books. You're going to lose. There's no way.
Yeah, it's just weird to think that though there's this chilling effect that happens before anyone's even given it a chance, when you can just sort of feel out the concept and go, oh, I have a feeling people around me are not going to be into this, and then all of a sudden that effect is like multiplied exponentially, and then no one plays it.
Agreed. Yeah. That's what as far as I'm concerned, that's what happened to Titanfall 1, even though it was still apparently reasonably successful, but people were like, I'm not really into it. That's what happened to us in Rainbow Six Siege as well. You know, we were trying to convince people to get it, and then people were like, I don't really want to get it because I don't think you'll be playing it long term, and then it just like ripples out.
Self-fulfilling prophecy at that point.
Exactly, yeah.
That's look like a small community though, Rainbow Six, right?
I think it's doing fine now.
Yeah, it's all right.
Doing better than Gigantic, sadly.
The thing, I don't want to get too far up my own ass here, but the thing about Lawbreakers that I always suspected was, as soon as I saw the trailers saying things like, more complex than any game ever before, I was like, nobody wants that. Why are you advertising that? That's terrible.
It's just not, though.
Also that, true, yeah. Like,
Fortnite is the most complicated game that anyone has ever made.
Till they took out all of the different parts of it that people hated and turned it into a PUBG game.
They just made a separate game and said, don't worry about that other one. You can just play this one instead.
Like, I really want to know, honestly, like the proportion of Fortnite single-player players to Fortnite Battle Royale players.
It's got to be like 90-10%.
Oh, I think it's even higher than that, dude. I think it's like 99-1.
Wow.
All right. Well, anyway. Motiga closes down, Runic Game shuts down. That's really like, I was just pretty bummed out to learn that.
I'm super bummed.
Yeah,
I was looking forward to all the stuff Runic had to bring. And I was hoping Habba's going to push them forward, and it's just sad.
Just a bummer. All right. Let's talk Xbox One X real quick, because this is not going to be a first-hand account, I don't think, from anybody, right? Nobody went out and picked up a new $500 4K Xbox console for their homes.
4K TV, man.
It's true. You need to start out with that. Well, we'll just briefly go over what the public reception has been to the Xbox One X so far. Seems pretty good, actually. I'm surprised the amount of reviews that I've read, like, singing its praises, as apparently the claims are true. It is indeed the most powerful, fastest console available on the market right now. However, still probably not enough, I'd imagine, to get anybody in this room to really be running out to a Target, right? Like,
I have a PC.
You have a PC?
I have a personal computer.
Whoa! Can you game on it?
I think so.
All right, open that puppy up and look in there. Do you see the Hovis method?
Yeah.
And then tell me how that's going to go for you in the next...
Doubtful.
Step to this, Austin. Hovis method.
So, I want to bring up a phenomenon I don't have the name for yet. By the way, if you own and like an Xbox One and you have not had the problems that I have, also fine. I'm speaking anecdotally from experience. I'm not saying that the hardware is a piece of junk. Mine is a piece of junk. For whatever reason.
Yeah.
Maybe they sent the bad ones to Canada.
If you're talking about what I think you're talking about, I've had similar issues, but continue.
So, I have the controller, I hold down the Xbox button to turn it on. The light turns on, it goes beep, and then I wait 30 seconds, nothing shows up. Then on the screen, a little alert pops up that says, hey, we're having trouble turning on the Xbox. Please hold the power button for 10 seconds to do a hard reset. So I do that, and then turn it on, and then it turns on. So here's where I'm at. My Xbox One is a piece of shit. So do I incentivize myself to buy an Xbox One X because it fixes the problems? Or do I say, suck on my genitals because your last one was garbage. So I don't want to support your business practices anymore.
And let's not
And
ignore
imagine
the fact that there
The
was
people with the 360s, right? You're going to say with all the red rings. Like,
that,
you could have
yeah.
gotten your third generation shitty console.
I was also going to mention the fact that they had the Xbox One S, which is like they're just now, especially, it really seems like they're just trying to release as many iterations as they can, iPhone style, right? Yeah. Like it's becoming almost absurd at this point that this seems like the console that should have succeeded the 360 almost. Because we've been talking 4K gaming since like 2014, it feels. But this is not a very new thing. This just happens to be like apparently the first console that has appropriately delivered what people are looking for in that regard. But
this is still the same thing as before. Like, isn't even Microsoft releasing most of their exclusives on Windows 10?
yeah,
I believe so.
All of them.
All of them.
so that's not even really a factor at this point. And nor has it really been for like a year or so now, since they've really been so weak in that department. Like Sony and Nintendo now especially obviously are dominating them there.
And let's do some math here. Like, if you want to play 4K gaming, you have to have a 4K TV, which is expensive.
It's still very expensive, yeah.
Very expensive. And if you have money to buy a 4K TV, you have money to buy a computer.
Yeah.
Why get an Xbox at 1X?
You can do 4K.
Because you want to sit on your couch, I guess. That's the
You gotta
only
be on
reason.
your couch, yeah.
I think it's like, to some extent, I don't want to say that it's uninformed people buying, because I don't think that's true. But I think there's like inertia. Like if you have a reasonable amount of disposable income or have saved up some money, and what you mostly do is play like Forza and the new Call of Duty, and maybe you're excited about console PUBG or something like that, you're like, I'll get the Xbox One X. I've had the Xbox One for 4 years or something like that, and it's been okay. I'll just get the better version so that I can keep up with the times. But yeah, I agree that we're kind of like so entrenched in the PC side of things that it's hard to see the value proposition.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's still important to introduce that caveat too. Like, we're really not even the target audience for this at all. But I still think it's like worth the conversation of what would it really take for them to try to drive us away. And they're, like, let's be honest, it's not this. This is still kind of enthusiast territory even for console gamers, just because this is still such almost foreign technology. The 4K and the HDR, this stuff is really not in the mainstream yet at all. So it's definitely a high-end device. I don't think is going to see like a huge upswing in sales for the entire Microsoft lineup, but will do, I guess, okay enough for them to have justified its creation. I don't know where they go from here now. Like, how long can they wait till they release a new console? And this is not really even like the next generation of consoles. This is just another one of those mid-level steps, like the S.
Yeah, they'll do a refresh, and it'll be the XS, I guess.
The Xbox X1 XS.
XL.
XL.
No, I like XS because it's like
It
it's
is
all
XS.
excessive.
Yeah. That's good.
I have an S. It's a nice looking device, but I've turned it on maybe 3 times.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have bought it, honestly. There's no reason for me to have bought it.
As a man who really ought to be using it more, like I even was excited about the backwards compatibility with Halo. That hasn't even really brought me back to the Xbox One at all.
Honestly, like I think we have unbelievably unrealistic expectations. Maybe not expectations, but like what it would take to drive us to either the Xbox One or the PS4 over the PC is incomprehensible for a company to hit.
We're asking too
Switch,
much now.
Nintendo sort of gets it. What did they do? Release like a console this year that had 2 of the best reviewed games of all time that are also beloved like IPs. So
And their console has like a unique feature to it.
yeah, exactly. They released like a completely new console that was novel in a good way, and then also like here's 2 11 out of 10s.
Well,
so like that did it.
Yeah. If we cut through the bullshit, I mean, honestly, we don't want exclusive games, right? We pretty much established we want games to be available on the platform of our choosing. But yet that is the only viable reason we would want to buy a console.
Yeah.
So really our argument is we don't need there to be a console from Microsoft. We just want them to make PC games.
More or less, yeah.
Yeah. I don't disagree
The
with you. Cool. All right. Well, we can leave it there.
Drop the mic. Move on. I'm kidding.
No, I mean, I don't really have much else to say about it unless you guys do. Xbox One X. It's true 4K. It's available for $500 if you're curious. And there you go. It's out now. Let's talk about something that's not out yet, but I didn't even know it would exist. It's 2. Oh my god.
It's a heck of a thing.
That may be the most legitimately surprising thing that's been announced in a long time.
Dude, absolutely. I was like, people were tweeting me the morning of, like, Spelunky 2, Spelunky 2, and I was like, everyone's fucking with me simultaneously. What is happening? This is not a real thing. I had to go right to the source, and sure enough, man, like, it's
They
Derek
even
Yu with
photoshopped that
Mossmouth.
picture.
Oh, yeah. Like, oh.
They photoshopped a picture and then they put it on Derek Yu's account and then they sent it to Bear. They went through such a lot of work.
Dude, I don't know about you, but I kind of had the feeling that Spelunky 2 would never exist because Spelunky 1 is like
It's perfect.
as close to perfectly designed as I've ever seen a game.
I mean,
Not to say it's a perfect game, although I think it's like pretty close. But I was like, what do you do?
I think that was everyone's reaction, was like, oh, fuck yeah, Spelunky 2.
Yeah. What does it mean?
But, like, how are we going to beat Spelunky 1?
Yeah.
Do we go to Mars?
Online multiplayer.
Online multiplayer, yeah. It's just step 1 right there.
Yeah.
So I go down the obvious path in my head, and I just think to myself, it's going to be Spelunky with more items, more levels, more variety in the design, and perhaps maybe even like a little bit of a story added on, which seems like the easiest approach to take here. But I kind of, at the same time, really have absolutely no idea what it could be, and that's almost more exciting for the potential for it to be like something that might come completely out of left field. I was telling Nick this during Squares, but I was kind of wondering about the possibility of them taking a SteamWorld Dig 2 approach to it, where they kind of just like take what makes the game work so well and put it into, like I was saying, like more of a story, more of a progressive unlocking of maybe different areas and then different items that you can unlock that you're able to use in different ways. Like, I think Spelunky could actually kind of take that approach and make it work really well for a Spelunky 2. Thoughts?
Level-based Spelunky would be interesting, as long as it keeps the general format as well. I wouldn't mind having it on the side of it. Unlockable items, again, as long as it's sort of in its own version of the game. Yeah, like you all said, Spelunky 1's pretty close to perfect, so all they can really do is just have more fun with the concepts, introduce more peculiar situations, more of those kind of like bonus level scenarios, like the inside of the worm and Castlevania level. I want to see all of that stuff. Have fun with it. Go nuts with it. And more secrets. I love the secrets. Give me the goddamn pyramid level that I'm still sure is.
That's gotta happen now, right? He's
gotta be in there.
Yeah. Like there's. The more I think about it, there's basically just like this infinite potential that he could expand it into. And I think, weirdly enough, too, what makes Spelunky so good is that there isn't really any filler. You know, like there's nothing that's really extra. I think most of it, if not all of it, has a very specific idea in mind and is executed on near perfectly, which is, I think, maybe what makes the game so appealing for a lot of people, too.
I really like the brilliance of there being 2 games overlaid on top of each other secretly. That there's the path you normally go to until you're good, and then there is the carry the item to X place, get the next item. Like, that's super engaging, that there's 2 actual discrete games happening in the same exact space.
That's what I really like about Spelunky, as opposed to something like Isaac, is that it's just like every Spelunky seed is mostly just a playground. Like, no 2 people are going to handle a run the same way. Some people are going to, fall into a piranha plant on the 2nd floor, and some people are going to get like 800,000 gold. So my preconceived notion of what I want to see in Spelunky 2 is just Spelunky 1's exact design, but everything is new. So, like, obviously new areas and stuff like that. A new way to get to the secret path that is actually the true ending stuff, but without compromising the design. Like, I know you said you'd like to see it like SteamWorld Dig. If that's the way they choose to go, I think like they've earned a little bit of trust from Spelunky players for creating maybe one of the best indie games ever made. But my preconceived notion is that I don't really want to see like, well, you brought like 10,000 gold down, so now you've unlocked this thing in the shop. I kind of just like the idea of it's all there. You just have to. It's going to take you a long time to get good enough to actually see it all, especially consistently.
Well, we're good now at Spelunky. Is that going to be a problem?
Yeah, but they know that, so they're going to have to take it up 5 notches to make it hard for us. Although we couldn't get past the caves many times when we were playing.
I was going to say, how confident are you guys really about all this?
No, I know. I'm just saying in theory.
Right.
We have no idea when this is happening. Right?
No. It's still very well could be like holiday 2018, unfortunately. So, if not
I mean,
even later
that,
than
that's
that, yeah,
soon.
it's
Yeah.
still pretty soon there. So, still an announcement form, but hopefully we'll see. I'm really looking forward to a gameplay trailer. Obviously, we haven't seen any of that yet. Otherwise, we wouldn't be so fanciful in our speculation. But it's very exciting. I am looking forward to it. It's so ambitious, man. Like, I don't want to jack him off too much, but geez, like we keep saying this, but widely regarded as like a near perfect game, one of the best indie releases of the last 5-10 years. Like, man, you gotta have some balls.
It's so perfect that I'm skeptical that they can hit that target again. Because
Exactly.
how many other concepts are there that could come across as well put together and balanced?
Weirdly enough, I'm like almost in the opposite camp.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, the fact that it's been 4 or 5 years since Spelunky HD came out and like 8 years since classic Spelunky came out, I'm like, maybe they finally hit a point where they're like, we have a really good idea for what to do without like spoiling the legacy, or maybe they like money. The other alternative is like,
they probably had an idea that's like, okay, we got to do it.
Yeah,
that's what I'm hoping. Yeah, but who knows?
Roguelites need this too. We need a good roguelite. It's been way too long.
I agree.
Rogue Legacy 2 also. Make that happen.
Oh, I thought you were saying that was an actual announcement. I was like, what the fuck? When did that happen? All right.
I wish.
Yeah, no.
Rogue Legacy is a side-scrolling SteamWorld dig, more or less.
Kind of.
So.
Wait, is SteamWorld Dig not a side-scrolling SteamWorld Dig?
SteamWorld, well, you side scroll, but you mostly like top scroll or bottom scroll, I guess.
All right, cool. Yeah, that's Spelunky 2. Exciting stuff. Looking forward
I'm sorry if I just made people think Rogue Legacy 2 was coming out. I
You
didn't mean
said
that.
it just. Oh yeah.
No, I
look
said
at
we
Rogue
need
Legacy
it, but
2
I think
as
it
well.
got muffled.
Yeah. Okay, got a little bit of news this week. Starting on the 19th of November, GameStop will allow folks to participate in their Power Pass program, an in-store game rental service that allows folks to take pre-owned games as rentals. You can pay $60 for 6 months of unlimited used game rentals. There are some catches though. You do have to be a member of their Power Up Rewards program. And there are paid levels of that, but you don't have to be a member of the paid one. You can just be a member of the free rewards program, and you'll be eligible. And you also have to... oh, no, I think that's it, actually.
That's it.
Yeah, and then you get to keep the last game that you checked out during the 6-month period, which is a little weird, but, cool also. So this is, I'm trying to look through this to find the bullshit, but this actually just seems like it's a pretty damn good offer from GameStop. Yeah.
Can I offer you some perspective as a former GameStop employee? So I already knew the ins and outs of how this kind of concept worked. We had a policy where any used game could be returned for full value within 7 days. So this is them kind of just publicly acknowledging that they don't care anymore what the time limit is on that. It financially made no sense for them to care one way or the other. So this is just basically added value for a policy they already had, and to incentivize people to get the card.
Okay.
Which really what they wanted the whole time anyway.
Yeah.
Although they have a free card now, it actually makes it a lot easier. You used to have to pay for the card all the time. The other thing is employees actually had this before they even did the used game thing. You used to be able to just check out games as an employee anytime you wanted, new or used. But that's just a little added bonus.
That was like the dream I always imagined was, like the biggest benefit to working at GameStop in the first place. It's not the money, it's being able to take home the games for free.
It was so you could have a more informed opinion about the games.
Also true, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of the time we ended up like taking games out we didn't even have time to play because we would just go back for our next shift and then be tired and go to bed and then go back for your next shift and then you got to bring the game back. Anyway, that's a tangent. It's a cool policy.
Yeah.
Is it $60 for 6 months once, or is it like $60 for every 6 months?
Paying $60 up front gets players unlimited rentals for 6 months. That's the sentence I am reading.
So it's like it's a recurring subscription. It's not like we're giving you a one-time, if you sign up to our loyalty program, you get this sick deal on unlimited used games, but in 6 months it's done forever.
No, I don't think that's the case. I'm pretty sure it's just like a renewal of 60 months every 6 months that gets, or $60 every 6 months that gets you the program.
People still... Is GameStop doing all right to do that? Like,
well,
no, they're not. They're not doing all right.
Yeah. I imagine they should have gone out of business 2 years ago.
They should have, and they keep being more aggressive, and they keep trying to take in different items, like a pawn shop, to try and turn around money. I think they're quite big, though, is the thing. So it's going to take them a while to gain the negative leverage to just fail.
They're too big to fail in the games industry.
It's going to happen suddenly when it happens, I think. They're going to go from really big to gone.
I'm amazed it hasn't happened.
Well, we're on, like, as much as we're old and stuck in our ways and stubborn, et cetera, we're on, like, the bleeding edge of the industry, more or less, where we're like, why would I ever go to a store when I could just download something? Like, my car doesn't travel as fast as the internet. Mm-hmm. It's just, like, unrealistic.
Yeah, and they know that.
But the other thing is that, there's, like, 40, 50-year-olds buying games for their kids and stuff like that. You can't wrap a digital download for Christmas. And other people, they just don't understand. They don't want to put their credit card information into the TV because they think someone is going to steal it. Which
and they will.
Maybe if you're on the PSN, there's a decent chance.
And they will at GameStop as well, so either way.
Well, it depends on who's working.
No matter where you use it, someone's going to steal it, so just be ready.
The thing that blows my mind is I'm like, how are they not getting crushed to death by Amazon?
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah.
I used to go to GameStop like a few years ago still to pick up that console game. I think the last console game I got was Dark Souls 3. Dark Souls 2. No, Dark Souls 2. Yeah.
I bought Breath of the Wild on Wii U, physical copy from GameStop, believe it or not.
And then I found out what Amazon was, and I was like, oh, I don't even have to fucking leave, and I can still get the console version. Just delivered to me.
You can't get it at 12:01 a.m. So if you're really committed to getting it the instant it comes out or soon after, then you got. And I guess if you live outside of like a semi-major city or metropolitan area, it might take like an extra day for something to reach you, even with Amazon Prime. But like, what percentage of people?
Oh, yeah, Breath of the Wild. No, I got Breath of the Wild at what was it called? Fry's.
Yeah.
Fry's, nice.
Because they're the only ones that had Switches available.
Mm-hmm. Remember when there was more than one electronics store in the mall? That was fun.
Yeah.
I still remember. I think I've already told you guys this, but one of the fondest GameStop midnight release memories I have is going to the Halo 3 midnight launch and getting yelled at and spat at by this guy for leaning on his car.
Sick.
Spat at. Lovely. A lovely man.
That's always going to be a fond memory I've got associated with that place. Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, go ahead. All right. Well, it's a little latency. Like I would not do this. But it doesn't seem like that bad of a deal.
No, it doesn't.
But it's also like exactly what GameFly is, which is a little weird because it's like 15 years after GameFly came into existence. I don't even know if GameFly is still around.
Yeah, I'm literally Googling it to find out. I don't think they even exist anymore.
That would make sense. It just seems like...
Oh, they still do.
This is like they're pumping the brakes on financial oblivion. Like if you're GameStop, you got what are your competitive advantages in business? You're in every city. Sometimes you have like GameStops next to GameStops. And then every store has like 5,000 copies of everything in the back. So this is a way to like recoup some kind of investment and then probably sell people's personal information to pick up something on the back end. But like long term, it doesn't seem like it's much.
My guess is they want to use this as an opportunity to force people as gently and politely as they can, or should say leverage people to walk physically into the stores as often as possible. Because if you have a policy that says you can take out as many used games you want, chances are if you're a voracious game player, you're going to go through one every few days, come back in, and then it's another opportunity to pitch you on everything that's going on in the store and try and get some conversion sales that way.
Sure.
That seems like very much the corporate speak that I would imagine to come from a corporate call on that. And it's not even a terrible idea, I think. They're doing it in a gentle way that's not forceful and mean.
Yeah.
The benefit is largely to the customer. So it's not bad, and you could have done it already if you knew the ins and outs of their return policy. So it's them just making it public now.
I mean, it's like an actually good deal.
Yeah, it's a win-win.
When you compare it to like EA Access. EA Access is like $8 a month. You can play a preview of EA games that have just come out, and then anything EA has ever made that's like a year old. Or you could play any game that has a used copy in your local GameStop, and you get to keep one at the end.
And that could be like games that came out a week ago and people are returning their finished copy. You know, like
I'm
it's not,
assuming,
like,
yeah.
necessarily limited to the old stuff. You can.
Well, it's, you know what it seems like to me, and it's projection, but like it's an acknowledgement from GameStop for once that like you have options. So instead of just being like, well, you know, the used copy is $50 and the new copy is $60 because you can't go anywhere else. No, there's no other options for this. Instead, they're like, if we give you any other reason to go anyplace else, you will, because it's cheaper. Anywhere else, Amazon can get it to you instantly, more or less, with benefits a lot of the time. So instead, they're like, we're going to make it easy.
You were being a bit generous, though. If a new game is $59.99, the used game's $54.99, and then it's another $5.50 off with the Edge card.
But when I take it back a week later, they're going to offer me $21, right, or $16.
Yeah, actually, $21 is not far off. It usually is low 20s for a new game, and then to resell it for $54. That's the margin, man. That's how they stayed in business all this time, was exactly that one thing.
They're still just draining from that coffer.
Yeah.
All right. GameStop in like another 3 years, if that.
Let's start up the fucking pool right now. I'm gonna give them 4 or 5 still. I think they're gonna be able to last a little while, but they're gonna die, right?
Amazon's just the king. You can't beat them.
Yeah.
If you sell a thing and Amazon also sells it and you can deliver it to my door, you're not going to beat Amazon. It's not possible.
Did you see like sometime this week, like maybe Monday or Tuesday, Amazon's stock price jumped by enough to like completely absorb what they paid for Twitch? Like in one day, their market value went up like $2 or $3 billion.
Jesus
Christ. Just from like a 5% stock price increase or something.
That's crazy.
So the company is scary.
It's scary.
They're making
It's not like Google that just kind of exists in the background. Amazon's there selling you shit. It's
and slowly absorbing every business that's ever existed on planet Earth.
Katamari in motion.
The dude started selling books, and now he's here. He's got his tentacles in every single industry. Where even he's sending you food. He's sending you electronics, digital movies. Like,
but the thing is, they're not fucking you over.
They're doing exactly.
They're convenient. They're good. They're cheap.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
They got great customer service too. Like I kind of welcome our robot overlords to a degree. So as long as they keep it up,
it's crazy, man. But I'm just waiting for the day where Amazon owns literally everything, and then they just go, everything on Earth is 40% more expensive now.
All right, well, there's the GameStop Power Pass. I think, this is a good deal. I'm excited about this. This is like actual good news coming from GameStop. So, yay, they're offering customers something of value. Hooray. All right, let's talk about some games. Came in a couple years ago. Nick, please tell me about Zombie Army Trilogy.
Zombie Army Trilogy is a game with a very hard-to-remember title.
Yes.
Honestly, it's like gigantic. Like, I can never remember what exactly the phrasing
it's just
is.
A bad name.
It's a bad name. But it's a good game, largely. It's basically Left 4 Dead, but a little bit more survival-oriented, a little less arcadey, and it's a third-person perspective. It's also got some, like, wacky Halloween-style, like, silly skeletons in it, and demons, and, like, Hitler monsters. So they've taken it to like a weird fantasy level of World War II demons that you and your group of friends get to go through. Did they ever say what city we were in?
I don't think so.
Just sort of generic war-torn German city, I guess.
Something like that.
Just shooting hordes and hordes and hordes of zombies. And the twist, and what makes it, I think, sort of fun, is that you have to get headshots on the zombies for them to actually die.
Yep.
And I know it sounds like such an obvious thing, but most of the time, the games just kind of give you a kill. Other than this game, I mean, they'll give you a kill if you just shoot it in the chest enough. This one, they keep crawling after you. You knock their arms off, their legs will keep going. They'll try and rip up your shins or whatnot. But you got to get those headshots. So it's a game all about sniping and accuracy and just generally trying to get a group of people together that have a strategy about how to survive in most of these situations. We did some 4-player, and it was a lot of fun.
I think like the most common sentiment has been that it's like a more hardcore Left 4 Dead, right? Where you've really got to be skillful to play it well. Yeah. Like games like that, usually you're able to take a Thompson and just unload into a swarm of zombies and get 40 kills, and it's that is satisfying still. But a game like this where you're kind of rewarded by individual kill, it's satisfying to be able to take every single enemy down, which is not
Yeah.
usually the case in a game like this.
Did you know that apparently the bullet physics are like really well modeled in that game? Somebody told me that after we had played
Really?
it. Yeah, so it's a Sniper Elite dev team, so they had like all of this inbuilt stuff from doing the other games.
Mm-hmm.
So they applied all these ballistic models to the bullets. Like I couldn't tell that while we were playing because it was kind of frantic.
Yeah.
But apparently there's like accurate bullet drop and physics modeling and stuff. So
Huh.
bravo, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
I had a good time with it. The unfortunate thing is it makes everybody motion sick.
Yeah.
So
So
we
that's
couldn't keep playing it.
That's the big caveat. I don't have a lot of negative stuff to say about it. I'm actually surprised by that too. Like with how kind of generic it seemed, like it didn't really. I didn't think it was gonna catch my interest, but I was having a lot of fun with our 4-player experience. Were it not for the fact that afterward I felt like I wanted to throw up. So if you're prone to motion sickness, I got to give this game a big red flag because I'm not even prone to motion sickness. I experience it with like probably 1% of the games I play, and this one I don't know what it is, but it's just not sitting well with me. So warning there, I guess.
I want to go look at their threads and forums and stuff and see if this is a common thing that like a lot of people feel this way, and if so, how did they get around it?
Yeah.
Or did they all just stop playing? Which would be really sad if that was the death knell for a pretty good game.
Exactly. Like I even messed with some settings like the VSync and the motion blur and all that, and it was still not really palatable, unfortunately. But aside from that, like, I don't want to dwell on that too much because obviously that's case by case. But gameplay wise, with the co-op too, it didn't feel like it was. I think it's actually like pretty much the right level of difficulty. I was gonna say it didn't really ever feel like it was too hard, but it did provide us a challenge. Like
It actually wiped us 2 or 3 times, but I always felt like it was mostly our own fault for that. So I'd consider that well balanced.
Yeah, definitely.
It wasn't like it was the most interesting experience. Like there wasn't a ton going on like with the environment, but what they gave us was diverse enough that it kept our attention. There'd be swarms of zombies, then there'll be some snipers that we've got to go after, and they're like jumping between rooftops, and then we get a horde of skeletons who you have to shoot in the chest, not in the head, because skeletons obviously, their core of Satan energy is in their chest. I don't know, but like they have a light up part of their chest, and you shoot at it, and it makes sense. And everything just kind of works the way you would expect it to. It's structured very much like Left 4 Dead. There's safe houses, and you replenish your ammo. Oh, we ran out of ammo too much, maybe, was the one thing. Because the looting kind of sucked. We were supposed to keep stopping and looting the zombie corpses, and we didn't want to because it felt like it took too long. So
it really kind of kills the momentum, honestly. Like it needs to be. It's such an easy fix too, because all they have to do is make it like PUBG style looting, where you can just keep running and very quickly pick things up, and it doesn't have to interrupt the experience because it kills the flow pretty badly.
Just have it be like even Quake, where you just walk over it and it just goes in your inventory. Don't even bother with inventory at all.
Yeah, exactly.
I think a good horde game could still exist. I feel like that market was never topped by something. Like,
yeah, you mean you're talking about like the Gears of War horde modes and shit like that?
Yeah, like Gears of War horde mode, the Halo.
What was that?
The Black Ops Zombies.
Oh, Firefight. Yeah.
Dead, yeah, all those kinds of modes that were like wave games. I feel like no one ever made one that was like really, really good. So I feel like that's, if you're a game maker, you're looking for a market that was never quite hit right. I think that's one.
I'm trying to think.
The Call of Duty Nazi zombie mode, I think most people consider one of the most popular versions of that.
I feel like someone should make a base game off of that because it was really good. I played a bunch of it.
Killing Floor is that.
Well, yeah, that's true. That is kind of
Killing Floor is that concept as a game.
Killing Floor 2 was pretty good. Played a bit of that. Yeah, but
I like this more than Killing Floor 2, and I like Killing Floor. There was actually like a nice tactile feeling about the guns. They have like a nice encouraging point system. There's a leaderboard on the screen all the time, so you can see who's getting the most kills and who's doing the most stuff effectively. Reasonable amount of weapons, bazookas, shotguns, a variety of pistols.
I like the little way they'll pop up like a message with 9 for 1 grenade kill next to somebody, so you like encourage your teammates, stuff like that. Like little things like that are nice too.
Getting headshot combos adds to your score in a more meaningful way. It's little stuff that really doesn't make the game, but it absolutely helps make the game a little better.
All put together delivers a very satisfying experience. Also,
got to not be motion sick. That's the one thing.
That's the only caveat, really. And there's this other top Steam review with 140 of 143 people finding it helpful that says, take your headphones off when you launch the game. So you got to keep that in mind, too.
That's a good tip.
It's loud. And apart from the dumb name, it's actually pretty damn enjoyable. So I
deserves a better name.
It does. It really does. Zombie Army Trilogy, just not really going to cut it. So
why not just buy Wolfenstein.
What? It's not multiplayer.
It's a
Fair
weird
enough.
argument.
The biggest Nazi zombie game in Earth's history.
Oh, you're right.
Out like
and it's
8
good.
days ago.
It's good, but it's a completely different game.
It's totally different. Yeah.
I'm just saying. It's.
And I did buy Wolfenstein, and
I played like the Nazi. I don't think I have Nazi Zombie Trilogy, but I played like Nazi, whatever the sniper.
One of the
elite
Nazi
colon.
zombie army. Oh,
one of the ones that should have been. It was probably in the trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
It
Tony
was like-
Hawk's American Nightmare Nazi Zombie.
It was like 4 years ago, and like, wait a minute, are there actually not zombies in Wolfenstein? There's like demons, right?
There's like mecha Hitler suit.
That's
people.
a robot zombie, okay? It's all the same. It's an augmented zombie, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
What's your point here? Just like
My
Yeah, we
point is,
kind of
it's
lost
like-
the plot a little
it's
bit.
my point is, it's like Thor Ragnarok comes out this weekend, and we're doing a segment that's like, how do you feel about Spider-Man 3? You know, it's
we just played it.
I know, but we're striking when the iron's as cold as Ragnarok itself, when the frost bridge is destroyed by.
Can you mute him? Can we
What
mute
is happening?
I'm just saying it. I don't understand the.
You're like Jesse Cox in us right now.
Well, I mean, like I played it. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
you could've
remember
just said
'cause it was like literally. Yeah, I only have 1 and 2, so maybe the third one pulled it together. I got 2 hours in the first one. I got 53 minutes in the second one. It's okay.
Yeah.
You know,
Anyway.
4 years ago.
You okay?
I mentioned that, man. I know it's old.
You Sniper Elite Nazi Zombie Army. You've played 2 hours. Game purchased February 28th, 2013.
Oh, that's me?
No, that's me. That's me right
Oh, that's
there.
you. Mm-hmm.
And then, okay, Sniper Elite Nazi Zombie Army 2, you've played 53 minutes. Game purchased February 22nd, 2014.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Any other games you want to tell us when you bought them?
Oh, yeah, here's another. Why don't we talk about Zork?
Sure.
I played an hour. I never played Zork.
Very
okay.
popular adventure game, actually.
It is true.
Why don't you actually tell me about Spelunker Party, Ryan?
Spelunker Party, I'm not going to belabor the point.
Yeah.
It's way too expensive for a game that's like half enjoyable, mostly for its badness some of the time. It's an online multiplayer action platformer with like Atari 2600 era mechanics that is mostly fun because it's janky, but is actually bad and is $30. So it's actually one of the most mind-boggling recent releases from a AAA developer I think I've seen in maybe several years. Like the fact that this game, they came out with it and they said $30 seems reasonable is just unfathomable.
Kind of looks
To
like
me.
a 3DS game.
Yeah, I mean, graphically, I think it looks fine. It's not like a good-looking game, but it looks okay for what it is. But like it's just the fact that it exists is very strange. I guess is where I come down to on this. I'm like, I can't believe that Square was like, we gotta put this on PC, and the right price is $30.
It's a trifecta of weird situations because it's a game that has gameplay from the NES era. Basically, like straight down to the point, exactly like an NES game. Stuff that doesn't really make sense and has been long since bulldozed over in favor of more modernized conventions is in this game. But it's got a veneer of polish that makes it look like a PSP game. So you're not really getting it on either front there. And then it's $30.
Mm-hmm.
And then also the multiplayer lobby system is bafflingly weird. I don't think it's awful, though. It's
For
just-
anybody who has not watched us play it, there's just some decisions that they make no sense. Because the online works, but the way it works is if you have lives, if you die enough times, you get a 30-second timer. If someone touches you, they can res you. If you don't get rezzed, you don't like get to watch your friends finish the game. They just kick you out. So you're like, especially it's stupid if the host dies. So the host dies, they don't get rezzed. It adds a lot of attention to trying to resurrect them, by the way. When you're like, please resurrect the host so I don't have to go through a 25-second loading screen. Because when the host gets kicked out, the host migrates to somebody else. And if you lose and you're not the host, they just kick you out of the lobby. So you have to rejoin the lobby for reasons that seem like unbeknownst.
Like,
It's a really stupid decision, but I do think that we came at it from the wrong perspective in that we weren't expecting it to have gameplay from the NES era. And if you come at it from that perspective and you're expecting it to be frustrating and a little bit janky, like, what it's trying to do is valid. It's just not the most fun. We could be doing other things that are more fun than that. But it's like an okay platformer that's just very basic.
Mhm.
It's like exactly okay. I agree.
Fair enough.
If
You
it
go with
was
your friends.
$10,
Yeah.
I would be here going, it's kind of janky, but it's got some charm.
Yeah,
The
I'm
fact
taking
that
the
it's-
price point away.
Mhm.
The fact that it's $30, I'm not ragging on anybody else. I'm not ragging on you, Nick, for even coming to its defense a little bit. I'm ragging on the publisher for having like no understanding of what they're selling. How can you sell this for $30? It just doesn't make sense when you look at it. What about this says this should be half the price of like the new Call of Duty?
And I'm not saying you need to expect it to be shitty. What I mean is you need to expect old school gameplay conventions. And if you can do that, then it makes more sense what they're trying to accomplish.
Can you, like, what specifically old school stuff?
When you try to go onto a vine, you will fall. Like, you'll immediately die if you don't jump directly at the vine. Like, when you fall 2 inches below the surface of the ground, it's as if the game calculates you will be eventually killed. And then it just goes, no, we're just going to stop you midair and say you've died.
There's just a giant death zone grid, like, directly beneath that.
Kind
area.
of.
Well, if you fall from 1 picometer higher than the height of your character model, you just die. Nick is right. Like, it's NES mechanics. So the first time it happens, you're very confused. But you can, for example, in Spelunky, you can run off a ledge and grab a vine. In Spelunker Party, if you try to do that, you'll just die midair because your dude has recognized that he's fallen 1 picometer more than the height of his character model. So he's like, this is where I die. You don't hit the ground and then like your dude goes, I'm dead. You just die midair because you messed up the jump. So why waste your time watching a reason for you being dead?
Mm-hmm.
Instead, you just die of a heart attack midair because you foolishly walked off an edge instead of jumping.
Yeah, fair enough.
And the whole game kind of hinges around very basic stuff like, oh, there's a snake in this hallway. You have to jump over that snake. Like, there's no complexity. It's just there are keys, there are snakes, there are pits, there are boulders, there are vines. It's very NES. It just has that PSP style weird veneer of 3D, pseudo 3D, 2D kind of thing.
Okay. This guy has 23 hours in it.
It's apparently really long.
It's like Kate, Mike, and I have played it for maybe 4 or 5 hours, and we just finished the first world. I don't know how many worlds there are, but
Damn.
conceivably it could be a 20-hour game.
Well, I think we found out why it's priced at $30.
Yeah,
So much value for
absolutely.
your time.
A lot.
took-
Every level is different. It's $25, aka $5 per piece of music in the game.
Can you explain the loot crate mechanic in it? Because I
There's
still
a
don't
loot crate
understand what you're
mechanic?
doing.
So on PS4, it was a free-to-play game that I believe had microtransactions. What they've done on PC is made it a $30 game, but then in the middle of the first world, you get a dog, and you use your in-game gold to send the dog out to get you loot. At a rate at which I can't be mad because I guess the dog is free on PC instead of costing you real money. But it literally like an hour and a half of gameplay gets you enough gold to get loot from the dog. So it takes forever. But yeah, there is technically another gameplay loop that happens. It's like you go out, get gold, give it to the dog digs up, oh, you got a backpack. And you're like, okay. The backpack means that you can hold 1 more pill or something
You
like
can
that.
you can level up your gear too, right?
Yeah, your gear just levels up the more missions you do. So
Okay.
you get a helmet that means that the first time you get hit by a boulder, it doesn't kill you, and then when you level it up, you get to like 3 boulder hits before you die.
Got it. All right, cool.
If it was $10, it would be plausible to recommend.
Well, allow me to remind you that
yeah.
Spelunker Party is $30, and it's available on Steam right now.
Stop that.
Stop that!
It's just who decided it. This should be like a decision made by Alan Smithy. Like, scrub your name from the record. It's the worst business decision in the games industry in decades.
It is. It's
I don't think it
confusing.
has quite that much of a ripple effect, to be honest.
It's $30.
I don't think people care that much.
All right. Let me talk real quick about new Assassin's Creed. ACO.
Is it good?
It's good. It's really good, actually. So I played probably like 3 hours of it so far, and so let me like give you my Assassin's Creed timeline, because I actually think it mirrors that of literally everyone who's ever played these games. So started with Assassin's Creed. It was pretty good. Assassin's Creed 2, great. Didn't really care much for Assassin's Creed 3. Black Flag comes around. Oh man, this is so cool. What a cool game. A lot of fun. I love playing this. Don't care about anything else beyond that for like 6 years, right? Like every Assassin's Creed release is just might as well be white noise, because
Origins, Brotherhood, Syndicate. You didn't play any of those.
not that, nor Rogue, nor what were the other like 2.5D bullshit Chronicles? Nope, didn't really like those ones.
What about India or China or Russia or?
Not a big fan.
Oh,
Didn't catch my interest. Didn't really like look fun. But
there are more too.
for whatever reason, like this one was like, oh yeah, you know what? This might bring me back, and it did, and it's actually pretty good. So no surprises. It's an Assassin's Creed game set in Egypt. You play the guy's name is, I think, Bayek?
Ezio.
No, it's not Ezio. Forget the guy's name, but you take the role of this dude in Egypt. The story's like an Assassin's Creed story. There's this big hierarchy of evil dudes that you have to take down one by one. You have like the big 5 targets that are going to be, you know, serving as kind of the chapter points in the storyline. And from what I've played, it's got the things that make Assassin's Creed fun in an interesting environment that looks gorgeous on the PC. Like, this game is beautiful. And they've done some things that can kind of make the less appealing parts of Assassin's Creed better. So let me kind of run down what I've seen thus far that gives me that impression. First of all, the bird, the eagle, whose name I've also forgotten, but is also not really all that important. You can switch from your human perspective to your eagle's perspective pretty much at any time from what I've seen so far. And there's actually like useful applications for that. So for example, it starts you off saying something like you need to go hunt this many skins, stop me if you've heard that before, to get an upgrade to your breastplate. So you pop up into your eagle perspective and you go like actually flying around the deserts of Egypt, scanning out these animals that have that particular kind of pelt or meat to them. And then you go track them down on your horse and hunt them, which is also fun. Like they've made the aiming of the bow on the horse very easy, but it doesn't feel like it's automatic. Like you still kind of have to control it, but it's doable, and that's very satisfying to do. Just the whole process of hunting was actually kind of a fun thing. So I guess, you know, props there for making that interesting. And then you can use the eagle to scout out like those outposts as well, so you can like mark targets from up there, which is, you know, it's pretty much the exact same thing you did in excuse me, and in Wildlands. So, you know, it's just like kind of reskinning that whole thing, but still nice. Yeah, and then like it's Assassin's Creed. I mean, it's not changing the formula at all. And if you're familiar with the way those games play, you're going to hop right in, and it'll be like riding a bike for you. But this
Wait, that's good now.
Yeah.
Not changing the formula is a positive.
No. Yeah, it's like they've kind of master crafted this formula, which is the entire reason this game exists as a series for as long as it does. You know, so
Still towers.
still got to scan out. You got to synchronize. Still, you still got those fun little spinning camera shots as you check out everything, and then you jump into the hay bales. Of all the things Assassin's Creed has done to improve the games over the years, that animation still looks like shit. Like you jump into the hay bale and it's like
falling?
you land in this fucking thing and it bounces a little bit, but no hay goes anywhere. It's like that's not what would happen if you jumped into that thing. It'd be a mess.
Yeah.
It'd be hay all over the
Perfectly
place.
just covers over him like this little blanket.
Yeah. Plus, you probably die. Also, I don't think hay is really as like.
100%.
I don't think it works that way.
I have some questions.
Yeah.
The first one is, does it have the Assassin's Creed multiplayer where you can slip into the shadows and like you have a target you're supposed to kill, like the AAA spy party plus NAT setting nonsense?
I do not know yet. I haven't checked that out.
All right. And then the second thing is, this is not meant to undermine your opinion because you're the only one of us who's actually played it. But I kind of see myself reserving judgment on Assassin's Creed Origins specifically because of the fact that I feel like I've played enough Ubisoft games where the first 3 hours they go like, check out all this cool shit you can do. And then 15 hours into the game, you're like, I'm so sick of all this cool shit. Like, I'm just like at the start of like every Far Cry, you're like, oh my God, I could hunt 20 crocodiles and make a new belt buckle.
And you will.
Yeah, it gives you like +4 shotgun shells. And then at the 4-hour mark, you're like, please just let me do the next story mission.
Yeah.
Like by the end of Far Cry 4, a game that I actually quite like, I was getting in a gyrocopter with no joy in my heart whatsoever. I was just like, the objective is over here. Let me hop in my one-person helicopter with like no doors that just flies above the entire environment. Like slowly get over to where I'm supposed to go. Joylessly traversing this rich environment. So I kind of like, I'm not even necessarily saying that the games are front loaded, but I do kind of reserve judgment until maybe you get like 10 hours in and you're like, am I still having fun, or have I gotten sick of like stabbing a dude in the throat and then running away?
That's perfectly valid. I think it's a pretty, established thing in the Ubisoft lineup that's, that they're guilty of it for sure. But like, particularly Assassin's Creed, what makes any of them fun for me at all, and particularly what made Black Flag so enjoyable for me, is that the loops that they always have you going through, the shit that you're constantly doing, are fun. Like, especially in Black Flag, they were fun. In Origins, the combat is still fun, and it's, again, like, they're not doing a lot to change the formula, but they've got it down for this one. And moving around, while there's a lot less stuff to kind of climb on, there's a lot less parkour going on, it's still fun to move around and explore new places, and they give you that little dopamine release when they play this swell of orchestral music as you come across this sand dune and reveal this massive sea and all this cool stuff, and you can see for a while, and there's actually things out in the distance. Like, they've created a pretty impressive world, honestly, and that's something that isn't really enough, I know, at this point to carry a game like this. The AAA releases kind of need to do a little bit more than just give you somewhere interesting to be, but Assassin's Creed is still fun for me to play. Like, I still really enjoy clearing out outposts and moving through the landscape. So, like, that alone gives me the belief that I'll still be having fun with it 15 to 20 hours later. But I think we'll find out, because I'm pretty sure I'm actually going to keep playing this one, which is a unique circumstance for me, again, for these big games.
How do they get around it being a desert?
They don't really, to be honest with you. Like, it's a lot of it is just big desert with nothing, and like, that's kind of, you have to have that because that's what it is. Like, you're not going to inaccurately
they got to choose the location when they started the game. So why did they go, let's not play to the strengths of our parkour for this one and see how that goes? Like, weird decision is all.
As silly as it sounds, though, like, the desert is beautiful. Like, they did a really good job of modeling the sand, the way that the horse hoof prints go into it, and the way that it all blows around. There's actually like individual particles, it seems like, that'll kind of float up off the ground. So that's like, impressive enough too. But I agree, it's a very interesting decision to willfully put them in that area.
But there are huge cities too.
Yes, from what I've seen.
Just like it's half desert and half cities.
It's not like these bustling downtown areas. They're in Egypt, so it's not like they're gonna have these big skyscrapers or anything.
No, I don't mean cities. I just mean like there are buildings with.
Yeah, there are buildings and stuff. There's interesting locales to investigate. That it seems like they've got a good amount of stuff, and I haven't really even scratched the surface yet.
Can I get mad at the name of it? When I heard people say Assassin's Creed Origins was coming out, I was like, didn't that come out like 6 years ago? No, they just use such generic names.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed Syndicate, Origins.
You got to be running out of all of those.
They're gonna run out, and it's just
names.
We're gonna Microsoft this one, Assassin's Creed 10.
Damn it! And then it just becomes Assassin's Creed again, and the loop continues.
Is this going? I don't know where I'm going with this. Is this going to kill Assassin's Creed? Because I feel like it came out and people were like, it's good, but not that many people care.
It was a sentiment 3 years ago, though, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, I just thought like it came out on the same day as, well, more or less the same day as Mario and Wolfenstein, which were both like crazy hyped, extremely critically acclaimed.
I was actually going to let it go. If you could believe that, I was not going to mention it.
And everyone's so those games, they're pulling like perfect scores and 4.5 out of 5s and stuff like that. And then Assassin's Creed, everyone's like, it's like an 8, but it's not a masterpiece necessarily. Yeah. So I almost wonder what happens.
No wonder Hob can't succeed. Fucking Assassin's Creed Origins being a pretty good Assassin's Creed game.
The tears for Ubisoft that has released 30 Assassin's Creed games in like 11 years. Okay.
Yeah. No, I know.
They burned up the goodwill.
I got to get more experience under my belt, honestly, to even really have an educated opinion on that. But from what I've seen, the response has been like actually not 8 out of 10 level, like 9, 10 out of 10 from some people. People are really excited about it, and I'm seeing why. At least in my introductory phase, I am seeing the pieces of the tapestry being woven in front of me, and it's exciting.
Since we're doing predictions, how many more Assassin's Creeds before you think we're going to hit the reboot where they scrap all of the backstory and go back to the first one again? I'm saying 1 or 2.
Here's another question. Is this the reboot?
Origins.
It's called Origins. They took a year off. Is this the...
I mean, maybe...
the older story, right? It's just the backstory.
Maybe later on in the game you start to realize that.
I actually do not know is what I mean.
Yeah. It's the beginning of the Brotherhood of Assassins, I would figure. They'll probably figure somehow fits into the rest of the story.
Truth be told, I've been skipping a lot of the cutscenes, and that's kind of just been like a new modus operandi for me, is that I don't really care too much about the story in most of the games I play anymore, to be honest.
Is there a current day moment?
What?
Is there a current day storyline going on?
I think so. Yeah.
Surprise hoodie dude.
I've heard.
He died, man.
He died?
Yeah, he's gone, man. I've heard from other folks that there's future stuff later on down the road in the game.
Okay.
That's where I got lost in Assassin's Creed.
Oh yeah.
Is when I was playing as Ezio Auditore, I was like, this is cool. I'm like I'm back in the past, but with some future aspects thrown in. And then they're like, hey, by the way, here's a jumping puzzle, and at the top, the goddess Juno possesses a statue and then speaks to you like Morpheus from the Matrix. And I went, don't really understand what you're going for, because I like the part where you scale the building and you jump and you call down demon assassins from the heavens to kill your target, and you collect some money, and then you buy like a bakery and upgrade it. But when the goddess Juno is like, Desmond, blah blah blah, and it's like ancient aliens, I'm like, I just don't like. Assassin's Creed Brotherhood ended on a cliffhanger that just made me go, huh? like Desmond got possessed by the god of mischief.
Oh, spoilers!
And, this game came out in like 2009 or something. Yeah, okay. So, and he stabbed his love interest, and then I can't remember what happened after that, but maybe her blood became enchanted. Something I don't even remember. But
that was what I actually loved about Assassin's Creed, when they left you at the end of the very first one, and there's like hell marks all over all the walls, and then you go have this confrontation about the Apple of Eden. Like, what the fuck is happening? I had no idea.
That's probably the question that all of the developers were asking at the end of the development of that game. What the fuck?
And then they did the Lost thing, and they're like, we don't know, but we need it to take 17 more games. I wish they developed that. I figured Assassin's Creed 2, you'd be playing as Desmond, and the story would continue in his life. The only character I actually ever cared about was Desmond. If that was his even name, I don't remember.
Dude, Ezio was pretty cool. He was banging everybody.
He was fucking, man.
That does make him cool. Yeah.
He killed the Pope.
He killed the Pope?
In the Assassin's Creed Brotherhood,
he kills the Pope.
Wow. He kills the Pope.
The freaking Pope.
It's $30. All right, Assassin's Creed Origins. It's out now. It's got 3 editions, but who gives a shit? $60. It's on Uplay.
You get a pyramid with one of them?
I don't know, man. I don't fucking care about all these deluxe and gold
you get
editions
a pendant
anymore.
For $50,000, we'll build you a custom pyramid.
Make it work and bring back the multiplayer. I'm being an entitled gamer right now, but bring back the multiplayer.
This is why single player is dying, Ryan. It's because of you.
But the multiplayer was so good.
It was really good.
Except that you can't play it with anybody who lives in the same house as you because of NAT settings on Uplay. But apart from that, it was so good.
$60. It's out now. It's on Uplay. It's on Steam. Hey, Austin, let me know all about Super Mario Odyssey on the Nintendo Switch.
This game's really good.
I'm hearing...
I'm a huge Falcon Zelda fan. I'm like a casual Mario fan. Like I'm like, Mario's great,
Yeah.
but I'm not going out at midnight, waiting for Mario. But I picked it up, and like even if you play the campaign like 10, 15 hours, like just there's like a main part of the game campaign, what do you want to call it?
I know.
You play that, if you just play that, it's worth $60. It's incredible, it's beautiful, it's fun. It does everything a Nintendo game, tries to do, which is just let you have fun. There's nothing in your way. There's nothing stopping you from having fun, and that's just incredible.
Mhm.
And it also has all the things Mario games have, which is like bunches of bonus content, bonus things to find, things to do. It really, like, I'm just amazed that Nintendo can still do this. Like, I don't know how they continue to just be like, Mario, it's 25, 30,
Mario.
35 years old, but we're still banging out 10s out of 10s. They can still do it. They still have it, and I'm amazed by it. But it's a little different from other Mario games. You're not, it's not quite 64 where you have these levels and you have like 8 stars to go find. It's not quite like Super Mario Galaxy where you play through the same level, it's slightly different versions of it to go get 1 star every time. Instead, it's kind of more like Banjo-Kazooie. You have a level, you have a bunch of stars, moons on it to go find, and just go find them. There's like the main path, which is like will give you bonus triple moons where you fight bosses and stuff, but nothing stopping you from going like, I don't need to go bother with that right now. I'm going to go get these other moons that I see. And that's really good. And it just lets you have your own fun on each level as you progress through it up until the end. I don't know, did you have the same experience, Nick?
My experience was that I would compare it to Mario 64, but in a more streamlined way. There aren't quite as many worlds as in Mario 64, but they have a lot more substance to them, and there's a lot more to do in each one. And as a result, if you would imagine the original, what was it, like 10 stars per world, now there's like
a billion.
70 to 100, like per level.
70 to 100 and more that keep showing up at various points for various reasons. It's there's a lot to do in the game, and you can choose how much you want to get out of it. The other thing is the difficulty scaling in it it's really easy mostly until later, and then it isn't. We're not going to talk about endgame stuff most likely, but I just want to say, like, if you're somebody that's concerned about the difficulty not being there is a lot more to it than it seems at first glance. I'm not saying it's like freaking I want to be the guy or anything, but it's got some stuff that's like, okay, like Super Mario Sunshine had some pretty cool, pretty challenging 3D platforming. There's some of that going on in here. It's visually quite interesting. There's good diversity in the levels. The soundtracks have mostly been great, except for the forest level, which is really annoying.
What?
Sorry. It loops every like 15 seconds. It's like a weird, shitty banjo song. Don't worry about it.
You're crazy.
Also, the controls are reasonably complex, and I think that's great. There's a lot of options. Without being annoying, you can actually do a lot of cool stuff with the platforming that isn't even necessarily intended. And I think what makes this not just a good game, but a great game is that they reward you for going off the beaten path.
Yes.
And there's a lot of options for doing that and a lot of places to do that.
100%.
And even when you think you found all the off the beaten path moments, there are more. They're just buried like freaking nooks and crannies. They're everywhere. So the game just keeps unfolding on itself in ways that you don't see it happening until it's already happened. And you just keep going and going and going. And the way that they do it, you never have much friction. You find one of the moons, you just keep playing. There's no like, okay, let's go back to the castle for a minute and think about what to do next. After bosses, or
it takes you back to the beginning, which I kind of don't like. But
or if you break a certain barrier, sometimes it'll load for a minute. But it's not like huge deal. Most of the moons are just go.
I do think there's a couple of flaws with the game. I don't think the game's an 11 out of 10 or 6 out of 5 or whatever. I think there's 3 main issues. Like one, the motion controls, just fuck off. Just
no more motion. Don't need them.
Fucking stop.
Didn't add anything at all.
They work, but like there were so many moments where I had I was playing 2 separate Joy-Con method, which actually was really comfortable and nice, even with someone with big hands. it worked, but like every I want to say like 50 times or I jumped, and it's Mario, you jump a fuck ton. Every 50 times I jump, the motion controls would be like, oh, you wanted to throw your hat, right? Because you waggled your thing a little bit, you wanted to throw that hat, and it would just be like doing like a jump here. Leave me alone.
Can't you can't switch them off?
You can, but like they're actually
integrated.
useful. Yeah, like you need them. There are points where you need to waggle the thing to do a thing or something like that.
There's a specific attack where to throw your hat and have it hit something with a homing attack, you need to wiggle. And there's a circle attack where if you want to hit everything in a circle, which happens fairly frequently, you need to actually wiggle. So yeah, you do need it. And I played with a pro controller, and it mostly was annoying to me.
It just stop doing motion controls.
Stop that! We got 2 stop that's today.
The other issue that I don't know if a lot of people talk about this, but like, there's no reason for there to be 800 moons in this game.
Really?
I think
There's
like
too many moons.
Too many moons.
300 plus of the moons are pointless. There's a lot of moons that are just kind of there, like you just go grab them. They're not hidden. They're not.
They came up with an excuse that's like, well, we need to justify having this high definition rumble in the controller, so when you walk over certain areas of the ground, you'll feel a rumble and you'll know there's a moon there.
Not even those. Like there's some that are.
Oh, yeah, there's some just on the ground.
I noticed you got one for putting your hat on a fountain, and then literally said "hat on the fountain." That's your moon.
Yeah,
they're not special like stars were. They're just everywhere.
Yeah.
So at the end of this isn't really a spoiler, but at the end of the game, there's the NPC that gives you like achievements, and every time you get an achievement, you get a moon, like a bonus moon, and all of the achievements, except for like 10 of them, have to do with you just getting other moons. Like, oh, you got these 10 moons, here's another moon. Oh, you got those 20 moons, here's another moon. Oh, you got 200 moons total, have a moon.
Dude, it was Quelaag in reverse. It was, you know how you have to present all of the humanity to Quelaag's sister. It was like taking humanity from Quelaag's sister for half an hour. Because by the time you're at the end of the game, you've probably accomplished 50 of these achievements. So you just sit there mashing the button while she goes, you get a moon. Let's wait for more dialogue. Oh, you get another moon. It's like, what? Just give me all the moons. I don't need to wait. It's silly. Minor gripe.
So many moons, yeah.
Any other issues?
The end game, the very, very end content sucks. It's bad.
It's bad. Oh.
I think it's bad. There's one final challenge that you can do, and it's the way I won't spoil it, but I really disagree with the way it's laid out. It's
Agreed.
It's just
stupidly
frustrating and not fun at all.
It actually stacks on top of a problem the game already had and makes it even worse, which is that there's a set of bosses that you fight over and over throughout the game, and they just keep leaning on them. Like more.
There's something past that.
Ooh.
Oh,
yeah.
How?
Oh,
I don't know what I can say that's not spoilers.
I'll cut you off.
500 moons. Once you get 500 moons.
Okay.
But it's bad. It's not good. It's very extraordinarily frustrating and just not a good level design.
From what I've been, mostly I've been watching Elise play, but we did a little bit on our co-op stream as well. But from what I've seen, what I'm really impressed with is the way that they've been able to just like kind of take Mario and put him in all these different locales and make him fit. You know, like nothing really looks that out of place when you're running around with Mario. Like somehow,
City.
Well, you think it like looks weird? I think it just fits right in as soon as you.
Intentionally looks weird. It's just part of the art style, but it's just like, you know, it's real people with Mario. It doesn't make any damn sense.
It's just like after running around for a little while, it's like, oh yeah, this is where I live. I'm a person in this city, and like
I just thought it was a funny thing you glommed onto because it's like the absolute definition of artistic dissonance.
I was mostly referring to like there's like this place that I swear looks straight out of Dark Souls, and you fight this giant dragon and stuff too. And it's like that looks so cool, and that was not the kind of thing I was expecting to see in this game. So I was just really impressed with that.
The whole, like I said, the whole 10-hour, 15-hour main chunk of the game is just insanely good. It's fun. It's just awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But there's too many moons, man.
It can't be a problem. That is like
it's a problem because like there's a lot that aren't fun to get. They're chore moons. They're not
chore moons.
They're chore moons. Like when you get to the end of the game, you unlock this thing that allows you to go back and get new moons on all the old worlds. Mm-hmm. And half of those moons are cool, interesting, and the other half are just plopped down onto the world like they don't even
just
care.
Like sprinkle them.
Yeah,
wherever they land
literally,
them.
it just sprinkles random moons. Like I said, half of those bonus moons are interesting. Like they add new little like side bonus worlds in the pipes that are really cool. All of those are great.
Hmm.
And then there's just all these other moons that are like, oh, they're just there now. Just go, and they tell you where they are. They mark it on your map and go, there's a moon here. Go get it, and it's just there. And you're like, all right, I did it.
Mm.
On top of that, you can just straight up buy them at the store in sets of 10.
Oh, in
Like,
sets of 10.
how not special could your item be that you can say there's a buy 10 option in the store?
You can only buy 10 once, I think.
The way it works, to my understanding, is there's a pool of 100 or 100 plus moons across all the stores. And once you've taken all of them out, however you do it from any combination of kingdoms, then they don't exist anymore. So you can, I think, buy 10 times if you did it all from the same store with never buying any. But I could be wrong. I'm kind of confused about how that all works. So that's like 100 moons you just don't need? I don't get it. I thought it was just here, all the stores of one. That would have made sense. Okay, here's a 100 coin check.
Yeah. No, that's what I was
But
expecting too.
Yeah. On the other hand of it, though, you get a stupid amount of coins in the game intentionally, and for once in our game, they actually let you use them for something. So I have to give them at least a slight nod for building in an economy to spend your coins on. But they also use it as your lives, so every time you die, you lose 10 coins.
But usually when you die, it's
I think
like,
that's a good mechanic.
yeah.
It's trivial. It's very trivial. In fact, they give you 10 coins back almost every time you die
Exactly.
immediately after you get back into the game. So they basically just should give you infinite lives because it doesn't matter.
I think
I don't
like,
know what the lives
there's got to be a penalty of some sort, but this is like it's a very soft penalty, and it also
Yeah.
like resets your progress a little bit. So it's, it's like a good happy medium, I feel, for everybody. I really like the just speaking of the coins too. I just like, in the midst of all this loot crate fiasco in the industry, it's nice to see this game have a very, very simple approach to in-game currency. It's like you can go collect coins. There's kingdom-specific coins that you can use to get things specifically for that kingdom, and then that's like it. As far as transactions in-game, that's really all you got to think about. And it's such a simple but satisfying procedure to go and collect like 15 of the purple coins in New Donk City and be able to afford their cool little outfit for that place. It's just such a simple and rewarding system, and it works. Yeah. Anything else? It's just I'm having a pretty good
I have
time.
to also give a nod to how cool the side-scrolling moments are inside of the other major levels. The fact that the sprite even reflects what outfit you're wearing, and it actually just functions as a normal Mario game buried inside of a 3D Mario game. It's just kind of cool.
Yeah.
And they use them for actual reasons to get you from point A to point B, at which point you always get a checkpoint, so it's not like you ever have to do them multiple times. So the levels actually function as this oddly coherent but abstracted cluster of different levels that are kind of mashed together in one navigable space.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's a very weird way to think about it, but you're just going from one concept to another, to another, to another, and somehow it keeps it from being stale. There's just enough variety in all the different challenges and things you come across that it manages to maintain interest throughout the, 15 or so worlds that you see.
Mm-hmm.
And even though there are a couple that seem like they're almost, not exactly duplicates, but like follow a similar theme, they still have enough differentiation that I never got bored. And I was very excited to see what the next world was going to be and what it would look like and what it would have in it. I wasn't hugely surprised by any of them except for maybe one or two, like the Dark Souls one, obviously, and the food one was actually awesome. I do wish there was like a little bit more out-of-the-box level design, but I was mostly surprised and happy with it. And this is one game where I would not mind paying for more content. Like if they decided to say, here's 5 more worlds for $15, it would probably be 30, let's be honest. I would probably pay it because I'm kind of interested in just seeing what they do with it. I mean, it's just a fun enough game to move around and explore that it's just engaging.
Yeah.
And easily sucks hours away without even realizing it. Mm-hmm. Which leads me to my next point. I wish the Switch had a better battery.
Oh, you've been running into issues with that.
Well, just, it's about 2 hours when you're playing Mario and then you're balancing the charger.
Mm-hmm.
Which I can't fully blame them for. It's a really complicated game as far as the hardware's, demanding-wise, but still, I just wish we lived in an age where the batteries are better. I know you can get a separate battery pack. I just don't want to have to deal with it. It'd be nice if it's built in.
Speaking of Switch issues, I don't know if you guys have ever experienced this, but the tiniest little screws that are in the side of the thing where the Joy-Cons slide on popped off. A couple of mine popped off of there. So I have to
That's
buy
not
like
good.
the world's smallest screwdriver, I think, to be able to actually put those back on. But that was weird.
You get like a watch repair kit or something. That sounds.
Yeah, so that sucks. But yeah, anyway.
I don't want to, real quick, I don't want to sound like I'm riding on this game too hard.
Sure.
I'm saying like there's 300 moons that are pointless, and that sounds bad, but there's still like 400 to 500 moons that are really good and fun to go find. So it doesn't hurt it that much, is what I'm saying.
It's still like you're coming away from this still like a 9 or 10 out of 10, I'm guessing.
Oh yeah,
right?
for sure.
Yeah.
Like it's not even remotely. It's 9 or 10 out of 10, no doubt.
Yeah, cool. Super Mario Odyssey. It's on the Switch. Ryan, you gonna check it out? No? Yeah. Oh, you're muted, dog.
Yeah, I know. The cat was sitting on top of my mouse while I tried to search for the mute button here. Get out of here. So I own it, but I have not played it yet. But I want to play it because I like Mario. So I think I will play it. Apparently, it's pretty good. Like maybe
I think it's the best Mario game.
Go beat
Just
the main
straight up.
campaign. That's just amazing.
And it's short-ish. So I mean, I don't want to insult it. I mean, you can beat it shortly or quickly instead of if you want to do like all the moon stuff. I guess it takes forever. But yeah, that sort of stuff is my bag, baby. So I will probably check it out, although I don't know when, because I still also have not played Zelda.
Oh my god, yeah.
It's gonna take you longer than 10 hours.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, there we go. It's Odyssey. It's out now. That'll take us into our October Game of the Month conversation. Austin, you're going to represent Mathis's opinion for us for October Game of the Month. So,
My October game of the month was probably
nice.
Got
Got him.
It's Mario.
You really did get him there.
It's just Mario, dude.
It's just Mario, you think
It's
so?
just Mario. Like, what else came out in October?
Let me hit you with a few, because you did have Wolfenstein, as mentioned. We had, obviously, Assassin's Creed Origins that we just talked about. Destiny 2 on the PC, if you want to, consider that. There was South Park came out this month as well. What else? There was Shadow of War, which, the caveats there. Evil Within 2 came out this month. There was even another Mario game on the 3DS. Superstar Saga came out this month. I don't think any of us played that, but yeah.
I think I knew that. That's weird that a Mario game comes out and I didn't even hear about it at all.
Yeah.
It's Mario, my dude. Like, game's one of the best. Nintendo still got it. They can still do it.
I think I'll probably give the nod to Odyssey myself. Ryan, having not played Mario, you've got an interesting take here, maybe, for your October Game of the Month.
Yeah, no question. It's Opus Magnum style.
What I thought.
Yeah, so that game I have actually put like 8 to 10 real-time hours in, and I'm still playing it, and it's still really cool. I like it a lot. Maybe one day Odyssey will take over it, but I mean, I'm not even going to say that I'm skeptical because I could totally see it, but it is also very good. Opus Magnum is a good game.
Do you think Opus Magnum has staying power for you? Do you think you'll be playing it for a few months, or do you think this is just kind of a flavor of a month thing for you?
Well, once I'm done with the campaign, I'll probably never play it again.
Okay.
Just because, like, it's genuinely mentally taxing.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, I see people who are good at programming playing it, and they're like, check out my ingenious solution. And I'm like, that's amazing. But my time, once I'm done with the campaign, is probably better served becoming as good at programming as you are.
Right.
It's kind of like the same, you're hitting the same kind of synapses, I guess. So,
Sure.
Yeah, but that game is really good. I like it.
Cool. Well, I like it. A little variety in the mix.
Just a little funny coincidence, but AM2R comes out, Nintendo sends a cease and desist, and then we get Metroid, right?
Yeah.
And then we get A Hat in Time comes out, and then the same month, Mario Odyssey, another platformer 3D
Oh, yeah.
hackathon about throwing hats. It's not. I'm not saying there's anything to it. It's just real funny. No, I'm not actually saying there's anything to it.
Nick, are
I
you
would've
saying
actually
that
given
Odyssey is your game of the month?
Yeah, I would have given it to A Hat in Time if not for Odyssey.
Wow.
It's actually the best Mario game.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how much I needed a properly done Mario 64 replacement, but this is that. And I'm probably going to try and 100% it, even though I agree with Austin, there's just too many damn moons.
That's
Knock
it's
about a
like that's
third
the
of them out.
completionist's complaint, which like you got to understand that like if your complaint is there's too much to do, that's the sign, I think, of a pretty damn good game. I'd
Except
imagine.
in Spelunker Party.
Except in
it feels
Spelunker Party,
great.
right?
It feels a little like bland when they're just throwaway moons, like Austin said. It's
Sure,
just,
yeah.
what are you doing? Just let's skip that part. I'm gonna get them, obviously.
Mm-hmm. The honorable mention for Hat in Time, though.
Of course, yeah. Really, really good game.
I like that.
I don't think it's getting enough good press, but it seems like everybody likes it that plays it.
Sweet. Cool. All right, there it is. October game of the month. Not too many big surprises, but there you go. And that's going to do it for us today here on Roundtable Live. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Well, what is that? What is that motion?
My cat's over here, and then when I do like this hand motion, he goes like. And
I
so
wanna
I go,
see that.
I go like, "Ooh," and he's going, and then I go, ga.
Okay, that's adorable. Thanks for watching, everybody.
It's not fair.
Yeah, I do wish I could see him. Roundtable Live airs every Friday here on twitch.tv/Roundtable Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks to Austin for joining us today. Where can they find your stuff?
Twitch.tv/last_gray_wolf. You could have watched me play Odyssey there if you didn't miss it already. You can watch the VODs if you want, or you can come watch me play PUBG. That's what I do.
Sweet. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. You can support us over on Patreon. We would really appreciate it if you consider doing that. Maybe throw in a few bucks a month over there on patreon.com/roundtable to keep the show going. Want to thank the supporters over there on patreon.com/roundtable, including Julian Abelsgard, Jonathan Graham, Scrouty119, Todd Buckley, Ricky Grists, Cowboy Chemist, Eric Schooley, Stephen Aoki, Metadata Studios, James Peter Sinison, Ellis Spice, John Kalchik, O. Thomas Games BR, Jakar Sampson, Kolnar with the dance number, Sahoa, Joseph Boss, Pendulette, Talks to Wall, TJ Majesty, Chaos, Team Bear Theorist, Booyah! Colby Klein, Greenlight, Oren Saltzman, Brizzlebrit, Positron, Myth Scare of Mediocrities, Justin, Smurfette, Logan Ray. Thank you all very, very much for your continued support over on patreon.com/roundtable, twitter.com/roundtablepc as well. We're going to get out of here. Thanks for watching, everybody. Appreciate it. We'll be back. I think everybody's here next week. Yeah? Good?
Yes.
Yes? Nick? Cool? Cool. All right. We're taking off. Goodbye. Thanks for watching.
Later.
Everybody.